Tag me already? I'm not going to try. We're on.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you? How is everybody since the snow squalls here in the New York, New Jersey area?
I am so cold. I have to tell you, were you here the other day when the ice just was all over the brand? Oh my God, how gorgeous was it, everybody?
Beautiful.
As long as you're indoors.
Right. I didn't even know, because when I pulled out of my garage in my building, there was nothing on the ground.
Right.
Because you're here in Englewood. There's a little bit more.
It's
Fort
true.
Lee is different.
No, there's not much on the ground except on the grass. But
grass
the
and the
trees were glistening.
It was a show. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
So I'm Jacqui Atcheson, certified divorce coach and Save the Marriage mediator at Better Path to Divorce.
And I'm Susan Greif, creative transformational expert and healing arts professional. And my company's called Art Men's Hearts.
Today we are hitting on a very sensitive topic which probably affects many addictions.
Yes, addictions comes in many forms. You know, we're used to the idea of the addiction, people who are drugs, people who are drinking and sex addictions, but there are other addictions. And two of them I think it's worth sharing and talking about. One of them is...
Well, the biggest addiction and the hardest one is food.
Food. Food is an addiction, and you know what? Especially sugar.
Oh, well, that's a sugar addiction. Yeah.
It is addiction. It serves the same way as cocaine, they say.
Correct. And is it a wonder that sugar is white and so is cocaine?
There you go. Well, I'm not snorting either one. But
no, no, that wouldn't be good. But I found over the years, what makes food the hardest of all the other addictions? You don't have to drink. You don't have to smoke. I would like to say you don't have to have sex, but it is a bodily function that we all kind of like to have.
You have to procreate.
But but we must eat.
Right.
And that is the problem with everyone I've spoken to who's been obese, meaning 30 pounds or more overweight. And the issue is we have to eat and then making the wise choices. I want to just say hi to Renee, Nicole, Tony, and Sammy. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, so it's, you know, I used to call it the good girl drug. You know, whenever I felt sad or depressed or stressed, it's always an emotional eating.
Very much so.
And it really, really takes its toll. And until we realize, until recently, you know, that it is an addiction, it does feed into the pleasure part of your brain the way drugs and alcohol do as well. And it's avoiding your emotions, not wanting to deal with them.
That's exactly right. So the first step is clearly figuring out where in your past without staying there too long, because that is the problem. Don't stay there too long. Figure out what happened in your childhood, because that's the roots. If you look at us as a tree, and the tree is the very top where we are now, then you have the tree trunk. The root is where we come from.
Right.
Figure out what behaviors started from there, what happened in your childhood. Lovable, unlovable, moving past that, that's what feeds us and then nourishes us and move on. But I would just say regarding addictions, if addiction is part of a chemical makeup, you can trade a bad addiction for a good addiction, because you will need addictions. A lot of people that are drug and alcohol users end up needing their sugar, unfortunately. They go to Coca-Cola, they drink a lot of sugary drinks. They still smoke the cigarettes because it calms their nerves. But a really good addiction, now I don't know what I'm trading it for, but I can actually say to bring those endorphins is exercise.
Yes.
That should be your worst addiction in the whole world.
And they say that the exercise is the best antidepressant. So if you you're always gonna, if you are prone to have addiction, but it's your choice. I hope this is still working.
Sorry guys, we hope so.
What addiction are you know?
What would you trade?
What would you trade? So the other addiction we have to talk about is phone, right? The social media addiction. And that's even a harder thing, because we do need our phones, we do walk around with it, but it's so important to like turn your phones off and put it elsewhere for a short time.
I remember when I used to do mortgages and I did lunch and learns, I would ask everybody at the table, because I was sponsoring it and I felt I had the right as the facilitator to ask everyone to put their phones away for 1 hour. I mean, clearly, what is such an emergency that you need your phones out? And I think about even now when we go out to dinner, everybody
Yes.
has their phone on a table. And I think back, yeah, phones are great. We need to know in emergencies what's going on. But please explain to me how our parents did it and even how we did it, how I did it years ago. I mean, I'm a grandmother now with my kids. What is such an emergency that can't wait an hour and a half, 2 hours?
I agree. So, guys, just take a, note also when you're going to go for your addiction. When are you going to grab that cookie? Is it because you're hungry, or is it because you need the sugar? When you grab for your phone, what do you grab? Are you bored? Are you stressed? Are you avoiding? Are you avoiding something? Are you looking for something to distract you so you don't have to go to
the thing you don't want to do? Exactly.
Right.
And that's where social media comes in. I mean, what is more important about having 1,000 Facebook friends that you don't know, which as opposed to sitting and having a conversation with somebody that is part of your life, that is warm and loving, or a project you need to complete for work that is really important.
Right. So I guess if you're a procrastinator, you do what you can to avoid, whether it's eating, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. You don't want to face reality. And the truth is, the only time we can take charge is when we do face reality, when we do realize what is really preventing us.
What is gnawing
That's
away
What's
at us?
your trigger? What's the trigger for you?
Exactly.
What was it in your youth, as Jacqui said, that triggers this? And the other thing that's important with addiction is people who don't have boundaries. There's a boundary issue. They don't know when to stop.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, simple steps. Let's take food as an addiction being the biggest one. And I know I don't have a food issue because I have learned, and it's become a way of life. It is not even a habit for me anymore. It's a way of life. I use small plates. I eat slow. I make sure that I'm not doing anything else when I'm eating other than enjoying the food that's in front of me.
Right.
It takes me about 20 minutes minimally to eat a meal, and then I stop, because actually your brain takes 20 minutes to realize what's going on in your belly. So take time.
And the other thing is, talk about boundaries. If you wear a belt instead of leggings,
No
those
leggings,
elastic,
ladies, no
the
leggings.
elastic waistline that has no limit. Wear a belt when you're feel the sense of fullness.
Oh yeah, and ladies, I know a lot of you deliberately wear those leggings because you are not ready. Stop right now. Life is short. Right. Whatever God's genes were and chromosomes and makeup and chemistry you have, do you want to make more and add to your life, or do you want to shorten your life? And ask yourself that question.
Right. And the other thing is, I think was important for people with addiction, they don't admit it.
Yes.
And
avoidance.
They avoid it, and they don't admit it, and they won't, and they lie. Because they don't,
to themselves.
To themselves and to the loved ones.
Yes.
Which creates relationship issues.
Oh God. Oh, that's a whole other topic.
So,
yes.
But you know what I really like to do? I think Jacqui and we met this wonderful woman. Her name is Lisa Jo
Symonds.
Yeah. Symonds. She has recently written a book called The Hands That Held Me.
The Hands That Held Me.
The Hands That Held Me. It's a story of her life and addiction. And it's such a gripping book.
Oh my God. You can't put it down, and it's a real story. So we would highly recommend that you read it. Talk about a family full of addiction and how many years it has taken her through, unfortunately, almost near-death experiences to come out of it. She, health-wise, has been affected tremendously, but she has moved on in her life in a way that is unimaginable, and she's here to help everybody. And
her addiction is ancestral. It's not just her own addiction. It started because her father was an addict and so forth. So, and her siblings became addicts. So she's taking the bull by the horn, and she's stopping the cycle today. She wrote a book about it. It was very cathartic for her.
Wow.
It was very healing for her.
And I must add, it was written so well. You won't be. I was in Greece on vacation, and I could not put that.
I
book
read
down.
it on 2 flights, going to Florida and coming back. It was just so great. Anyway, I'll write down the name of the book. I recommend you. And right now, she said, I think it's like #1 on Amazon.
It's an amazing story. So anybody that is struggling, just read her story. And if she can do it, trust me, anybody could do it. And we adore you, Lisa. Thank you for sharing with us your story.
And what would you say to people who know somebody who has addiction issues?
Okay, I would be a good one to speak on that. And what would I say? Lisa's theory is don't abandon the person that is an addict, because that is usually when suicide comes in, when people feel the most alone.
Yeah, when you're alone with your thoughts, you go in the worst place.
Yeah. Don't abandon.
Don't abandon.
But on the other hand, depending on what their addiction is and what's gone on in their lives, a lot of times abuse to people they love comes along with it. Don't allow yourself to be abused, because it is up to them to make a choice to help themselves. I guess it wasn't their choice to have these genes, but it is definitely their choice in how they handle it.
Yes.
And if they have some love and gratitude in them, great. But a lot of times addicts don't, or people with mental health issues attached to addiction. There is a lot of that going on, a lot of non-gratitude. And don't allow yourself, if you're on the receiving end of an addict or being a loved one of an addict, don't allow yourself to be abused either, because your health will be at risk. And if your health is at risk, you're not going to be good for anybody.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your message. Guys, any questions? You know, we're here to help out.
Yeah.
So, want to wish you a great day, and
we will see you next week.
Will we see you next week? Next Thursday?
Next Thursday is good. Christmas is Wednesday. Wishing everybody who celebrates a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas. We know Kwanzaa's coming up right after, so we wish you all great holidays. We will see you next week. It is Jacqui Atcheson,
Susan Greif,
and peace out.